Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting edition of How Do I Do This Anyway? Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making this little coaster thing for you guys to learn the CNC, the pattern tools in order to use the toolpath generators to create the toolpaths to create the things on the CNC router. So let's go ahead and get started. You want to go ahead and go File, New, and when you get to this menu, you want to work in inches today. So just a standard inches IPT, double click it, and you'll get yourself a nice fresh document. Now, we're going to start this out. You want to make sure that you are sneezing, but no. Work on that first XY plane so you're looking down on the top. Rotate the view cube so that way it actually makes sense. And then just start out with a nice polygon, only we're going to do just a 2-point rectangle. I want to make sure that my pointer clicks and highlights green so that way it creates a coincidence constraint on the origin. And I'm just going to type 6 and then hit tab and then hit 6 and then hit enter to create a 6-inch by 6-inch square. Now I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to extrude that thing out to a distance of 0.25 inches. Boom. Now I have that nice little flat surface to look at. Isn't that so gorgeous? It's like a blank slate and stuff like that. All right, that's not good enough. We need to put some stuff on there in order to have something to cut. So I'm going to start a 2D sketch. And once you've clicked that Start 2D sketch button, you got to tell it where you want that sketch. You want to make sure that it lights up on the field that you want to have the sketch on. In our case, we want it to be on that front field that makes the most sense. Now, I need to locate my center in order to have my circle. Sometimes it'll pop up and have a little green thingy there if your settings are correct, but most of the time those settings are off, so you have to do it the old-fashioned way of finding where the center is. To do that, click your line tool and then click this button to make a construction line. And then you're going to hover over to this corner. You see how it popped green? Coincidence constraint again, and then come down here to that corner. Let it go green. And now how you see how it's wanting to drag another line out? Hit escape to drop that line tool, but pick it right back up again. Go ahead and get the green again. Go over here. Click it when it's green. All right, so now you have these crossing lines that'll help you find the center of any rectangular geometry. Now what you want to do is you want to grab your point tool and you want to put a point right there, and that'll identify where your center is. I'm going to turn off my construction tool thing now because I want a non-construction circle. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this like 5-ish inches. Now I want it bigger. So I'm going to hit escape a couple times. I'm going to double click that dimension, and then I'm going to hit 5.5. No, not 55. 5.5. There's a point. Trust me. All right, now that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit E, and I'm going to extrude that, make it a join. Go ahead and have that distance of 0.25 inches again, and click Okie dokie. Now I need to put my little diamondy here on the top, right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start another 2D sketch. I want that on that surface. Click it over, drag it over, make sure your view cube, you're reading top correctly. And we want to go ahead and drop a 2-point center rectangle on this thing. Now, it sometimes will snap on the grid, but you see how it's not creating or going green? That means it's not creating a coincidence constraint. So we want to project the geometry of that circle. You see how when I did that, it popped up with a yellow point? That means that it made the center point of that circle available in this sketch for us to reference. If you don't make it available in the sketch to reference, it won't be there. So we made that nicely available. Now, I'm going to make sure I use this 2-point center correctly, or I'm sorry, 3-point center. I want to click here with a nice green coincidence constraint. I'm going to drag it up at a 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to just drag it on out like that, and then drag it on out like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, first I'll drop my rectangle tool by hitting escape. Now I'm going to click this coincidence constraint button. I'm going to come up here to this point, and I'm going to come right here to this point, and now it's putting it like right there on that circle. But that's not good enough. I want that circle over here. So I want to go ahead and I want to put a vertical constraint between that point and that point. And now my diamond is aligned on the surface and vertically aligned. Okay, so now that's exactly where I want the diamond to be and exactly the right size that I want the diamond to be. So I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to go ahead and click that surface, make sure it's a join again, and then make sure it's a 0.25 inches again. Now that's our basic overall shape of this fun bit of thing. Now, I want to put my initials on here first because this is the most infuriating part of it and also takes the most time. I'm going to start my sketch. It's on that surface, and I'm going to click the text box. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag out a text box, and I'm going to click it. All right, now your text box here is going to infuriate you because the controls for this aren't the best. It's not a word processor. It's drafting software. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your initials there, okay? When you click OK, it's going to look messed up. So what I want you to do, hit escape first off to drop your text box tool so you're not dropping extra text boxes all over the place. And then what you want to do, come on, you got to highlight. There we go. Sometimes you got to zoom in. You have to highlight the text you want to change the size of. I just changed my text to 2 inches, and that looks fairly decent. So what you're going to have to do with this is you're going to have to play with this a little bit. Play with the different font sizes. See what it looks like. Nope, that's not going to work. You don't want it to be anything too scrolly. You want nice and blocky letters. Okay? What were we on? Tahoma. That's nice and blocky. Sometimes, hey, click bold. Okay? Now, once you've got your text where you want it to be, you can just click and drag it if you don't have text box actually highlighted. You want it to be ish centered. You don't have to measure it out and make it all millimetered ish centered and all that stuff. But make sure it looks decent. Then what we're going to do is we're going to finish that sketch and we are going to emboss that text. So you want to select it. Click it once to select it. Select cut because you want it to be cut down into the surface. And I really only need this to be like 0.15 inches down. It does not need to be that deep. Okay. So what we can do now, if I hold the shift key and hold my center mouse wheel, I can orbit this thing around. Okay. If I just grab it on the center mouse wheel, I can move it around like that. Okay. Brief refresher for those of you that don't remember. Or you can use your view cube buttons to get where you want to go eventually. And of course, if you ever end up like way out somewhere and you have no idea where you are, click the home button and it takes you right back home. Don't mess with that home view, please. Now, we got our letters there, right? Now we need to make sure that we can have our letters be large enough. So I need to inspect how big that toolpath is. So I'm going to come here to what looks like the narrowest part of that toolpath. That's 0.404 inches. Haha, toolpath not found. Yeah, if you make your letters too narrow, it's not going to work because the drill bit is a 1/4 inch wide. And if you have your letters being like a 1/20th of an inch, that's not going to work. That would be 0.05 inches. So nothing too scrolly. You want something nice and big and blocky. In fact, let me just show you something not working. I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit this sketch again. I'm going to double click my text. I'm going to highlight it. You remember how I clicked bold here? I'm going to unclick that bold and I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to click finish sketch. And the embossment followed it because it's the same geometry. So what we want to do now is I'm going to measure this. You can come around and look. And you see how now it's 0.233 inches? That's too narrow for the drill bit. My toolpath will not generate that toolpath. Okay, so I'm going to use my best friend and I'm going to hit Control Z in order to undo what I just undid, because I don't want to have it not work. So now, let's see here. I'm going to go back into my sketch block now. Make sure that you have a font you like. Make sure you've got both of your initials on there. You do not necessarily have to have a period or anything like that. Yeah, it's good times. We're going to click Start a 2D sketch, and I want it to be on that surface. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and first off create a circle right here. Doesn't really matter exactly where, but I'm going to go ahead and make this circle to be 0.26 inches. Geez. 0.26 inches. Third time's a charm. All right. Now, I want to go ahead and also put a point on here. I want that point to be lined up with the center of that circle. Okay. So we're going to click it right there. Okay. And we're going to use a couple of different tools here to make these holes. First off, I'm just going to do a simple extrusion of this feature of that hole. And then you see how it guessed that it wanted that? Yeah. We're going to do a cut instead of a join this time. But I want it to be through all. Okay. Now, where did my point go? There was a point to all of this. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say share sketch, because I want to use that point for other features. You see, this is a feature here. It's a 3D feature. This is a 2D geometry. It's a sketch. Sketches get consumed by features when they are used correctly. I want to use the hole tool. Okay. Now I'm going to use this type of hole where it's a counter bore with that flat bottom and stuff like that. And I want this to be, let's see here. Yep, 0.75 inches is good. That depth being 0.25 inches looks spectacular. The whole depth of the thing should be 0.5. And then I want this diameter to be 0.3, just like I've got it listed here. Okay, now we're going to click OK. And it's going to generate the hole that has those parameters there. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to make some of these shapes. If I look over here, yeah, I realize that my hole here and hole here are backwards. That's so that way it'll hang neater. I want to make these shapes in the outside corners. These are basically like half-inch squares and stuff like that. There's a square here, there's a triangle there. There is a square that has fillets on it of different sizes, and then there's just a circle here. So if you need the tutorial, go ahead and watch it. If you don't need the tutorial, then make them. But I'm going to make sure that I'm only putting one feature per sketch because it makes it easier for toolpath generation later. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say 0.5, tab, 0.5, and then that gives me a half-inch by half-inch square. I'm going to finish that sketch, and I'm going to hit my extrude button, and I'm going to select that geometry, and I want it to be a cut, and I want it to be through all, and I want it to be okay. Hopefully it will be. Now I'm going to do a similar thing where I started a 2D sketch on this geometry over here, only I want to put, I'm just using my wheel to zoom in. I want to put a polygon here. I want to put a three-sided polygon there. Where did it go? Where did my polygon tool go? Click it. There we go. 3. All right, now I'm going to click in the center where I want my center of my polygon. And I'm just going to drag it on out. Okay. Now I'm going to click done there. Now, you want to make sure your polygon is looking decent. So that can be, you can make this line follow along this line. You can try and drag it into the corner. Come on, drag with me. You can drag it along there. But what I'm just going to do is I'm going to make sure, come on. Sometimes it's easier to drag from one section or another. I want to make sure that I've got a parallel constraint because I want this edge to be parallel with that edge because I like things to be symmetrical and stuff. So that's done. I'm going to now hit E as my hotkey to extrude that shape as a cut through all. Okay. See, it should be ish the same size as that. All right. Now, what we're now going to do is we're going to make another square on this corner, though. I want that square. Where's my square button? There it is. I want that to be like 0.5 by 0.5. Nah, 0.75. Let's try that. That's nice and larger. 0.75. Enter. Cool. Now, I want to go ahead, hit escape to drop that tool, and we're just going to drag that up somewhere around there. Okay? It'll all be fine. Don't worry. Now, what I want to do is I want to hit extrude on that, and I want to do the same old thing with a cut through all, but only now I want to adjust these corners because I want to see what the tool is able to do. So I'm going to start with this corner, and I'm going to say that I want that corner to be, let's just say, yeah, 0.125 is good. That's an 1/8 inch. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to click fillet. I'm going to click that line right there. But instead of 125, I want this to be 0.06. Okay, so a tiny fillet there. Now I want to do another fillet over here, and I want that to be 0.25. Pretty decent sized thingy there. And now I want to go ahead and fillet this thing. I want that to be 0.37. Basically, that's 3/8 of an inch. Okay. So it should look-ish like that. All right. Now, let's go ahead and just create another one here. But instead of doing a circle again, I want to see what a hexagon looks like. So I want a polygon. I want it to be 6 sides, though. I want to be done with that. Oh, wait. No. Polygon. 6 sides. Here-ish. Click that. Click done. Now, I want to go ahead and I want to make sure that this edge is going to be parallel to that edge just because. There we go. And now I also want to dimension this thing. From here to here, I need to make sure is greater than at least 1/4 inch. I want to go ahead and say, can I make it a 1/2 inch? What will happen if I make it a 1/2 inch? It's a little large. I'm going to go ahead and say 0.37. That's better. So we're going to see what happens when we cut that. We're going to extrude that surface, cut it through all. Okay. Now, that is your test block. What you're going to do is you're going to then create a fully dimensioned drawing of this thing. And you're going to make the toolpath for us to actually generate. And then you're going to compare how it comes out in real life to what you actually expected of it. So hopefully this video helped you out. And if you have any questions, I'm sure you will let me know. Oh, by the way, very, very important part, file, save as. Now, what you want to do, you want to create a file on your flash drive. Come on. Hopefully you've already got an engineering application. This thing is going to be, we need to start a new folder. Let's let it think for a minute. All right, new folder. This is going to be flat pack underscore your initials. Okay. Actually, shouldn't have said save. Let's just call this coaster. Keep those separated. Coaster underscore your initials. Then call this thing, the part name is going to be coaster underscore your initials 1. Okay, because that's your first version. You might end up doing multiple versions of this thing because things go sideways quick during this. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to see. All right, now, let's see here. Cool. So it popped up with the name of the file up top. I'm just going to double check to make sure that it actually did save where I think it did, because one of the biggest problems people have is that things don't save where they think they saved. So you see how it says Coaster JG? Yeah. Didn't save where I thought it saved. Let's go ahead and save file, save as again. Save as. Engineering applications. Oh, we forgot to select the folder. JG, Coaster JG1. Save. Now, for those of you that want to just click and drag a file name from someplace to another, don't. Save as in the right spot. So, hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions, let me know.